And love is what makes the world go round. Love is what we need to share with each other. When you're looking at yourself saying, I love you. And that was a huge journey that I had to travel down. But in terms of Audacious and the people listening and how they can live that, embody that word, when you wake up in the morning, just be grateful that you're waking up in the morning. Whatever your problems are, they're figure outable. And, you'll look back at them in years to come and go, you know what, that really wasn't a big deal. Every single problem you have ever had, you have overcome.
Welcome to the Audacious Living Podcast, hosted by my man, Audley Stevenson, the Odd Man.
Greetings and salutations. Welcome to the Audacious Living Podcast. This is a space where we help you live your best audacious life ever. I'm your host, Audley Stevenson, and it's always a pleasure to be here with you. I super appreciate you carving time out of your day to join us, because your journey towards audacity deserves to be fueled with insight, encouragement, and practical wisdom. Now, I want you to imagine for a moment that your health journey is like riding a bicycle. Balance is your inner knowing, and that's trusting yourself to stay upright even when the road curves. The pedals, they're your support network, helping you to push forward when the ride gets tough. Those gears are they represent your resiliency, and they shift when the climb gets steep, keeping you moving with strength. And your voice is your self-advocacy. Imagine the bell signaling your direction or making sure you're seen and heard. The beautiful part is, even when the road is bumpy, you're still moving forward one pedal at a time. That's the journey we're driving into today with my guest, Allison Pazuk. Allison, man, she's got a lot to offer. She's a former high school math teacher who's turned entrepreneur. She's a cancer survivor and now an author and speaker whose mission is to empower people to become the CEOs of their health journey. After a stage 3 cancer diagnosis turned her world upside down, Allison refused to see herself as a victim. Instead, she leaned into her problem-solving mindset, resilience, and inner knowing to navigate through fear and uncertainty. Her book, Going Bonkers with Cancer, introduces a powerful acronym. We know how much I love acronyms here. Bonkers, it stands for brave, open, non-conforming, kick-ass, emotionally resilient, and self-advocacy. Through it all, she provides a roadmap for others to reclaim their power during life's most difficult seasons. Allison's story is deeply relevant to this episode because she embodies what audacious living looks like in the face of health adversity. She teaches us that healing is more than medical treatments. It's about mindset, persistence, and taking ownership of your journey. So without any further ado, let's dive into my conversation with Allison Pazuk. Enjoy. Hey, Allison, thank you for joining me here today on the Audacious Living Podcast. I appreciate you for taking the time to be here.
I am so honored to be able to be a guest on your podcast. I love your podcast. It's just fantastic.
Oh, thank you so much. As I said, it's a labor of love, and the opportunity to share insights and to positively impact other people is kind of what charges and gets me excited. So I'm glad to be here with you, and I'm glad that we have this time together. We spend much of this time on this podcast really sharing different ways that we can inspire and impact people, and oftentimes our life experiences can do just that. And sharing those life experiences, and you certainly not only have an experience to share, but your book as well, which we'll also discuss. But maybe as a starting point, Allison, I'll give you this opportunity to introduce yourself to our audience, let them know the work that you do and what's gotten you to the point that you're at now.
Thank you so much. It's been a journey, and it's only upon when you have a transformational moment or a pivotal moment that you actually look back and reflect on all of the things that have happened throughout your life to make you and become who you are. So not going right back to the beginning, that would take too long, but in a nutshell, I was a high school math teacher for 27 years. Absolutely loved my students. They were my children. However, it's a very stressful job. It has a lot of impact on your immune system. And after leaving that, I left a few years early just because I realized I was destined for something more and I didn't know what that thing was.
Mhm.
Uh, Jumped into the entrepreneurial world uh, and did some real estate investing, and fantastic. Loved it. Absolutely, just thrived on the challenge and the adrenaline behind all of that. And living up to those myths of sleep is overrated. You can sleep when you're dead. Again, more attacks on the body. And then the market turned, the real estate market turned, which then put me into, my husband and I, into a bad situation of owing many millions of dollars to hard money lenders. That was a kind of a stressful situation.
Sure.
Again, more stress. And then coming out of that, the following year, the universe, whatever it is, God said, you know what? You're still not listening to me. I'm going to hit you with a sledgehammer and give you some cancer so that you are able to stop and take notice. And so that was the pause button that caused me to reflect and recognize there's so much more to life the than the things, than the adrenaline drive, the stress, the push for more. The pause and the rest was always a trigger word for me, but resting and reflecting on your body and your health.
Hmm. Wow. I mean, that was when you first sort of received that diagnosis. I can imagine that would really shook your world up. Considering all this happened, and you weren't pausing, you weren't resting, you weren't stopping. What was sort of the initial sort of feeling or reaction?
Honestly, it sounds strange, but maybe I am just a little bit of a abnormal person in that sense. I didn't look at it as, oh, I'm such a victim. What am I going to do? It was, oh, okay, here's another thing. Let's see if we can figure it out. Every problem is figure outable.
Mm.
I need to dive into it, do some research, uh, and figure it out. And yes, it was. I say that, and I don't mean to make light of a cancer diagnosis, because the stats right now are saying that 1 in 3 people will receive a cancer diagnosis. And that's going to be going up to one in two in the very near future. It's horrific. So that fear that you feel, that, man, I'm out of control, the chaos, and what's next.
Right.
So that is terrifying. Um, I think I've answered your
Okay.
question on that
Yeah.
one.
No,
It
makes sense. It
is
makes sense.
truly terrifying for people.
Okay. And I certainly appreciate um, the sort of diving into problem solving mode. In fact, everything is figure out. Well, something I've said on many occasions, so I can relate to that. It's funny. I thought I made that word up myself, but it looks like others are using it too. But no, it is a really important approach. And it's funny because some people will look at that and go, well, you're not giving yourself some time to process the emotions, and you're but that's how I can speak for myself. That's kind of how I process. Okay. I was like, okay, it's happened. Now what next? Right. As opposed to dwelling on this thing, which from my perspective only makes it heavier to deal with and takes valuable time away from dealing with the issue.
Absolutely. Absolutely. 100% agree with that.
Hmm.
The figure outable, what's my next right step? What is right for me? That is so important in that process of trying to figure it out. And you're right. It really didn't hit me till I went back to my journals and my videos that I did for myself, my vlogs, throughout the journey the impact and the seriousness as to what it was. And it was a stage 3C ovarian cancer. So it's not an easy cancer. We're heading towards stage 4. And for some reason, I just knew that this was not a death sentence. It's your inner knowing, your soul. And I had been diving into some personal growth and studying people like Napoleon Hill and Joe Dispenza, both incredibly pivotal in my journey towards health. I planned my 110th birthday. So it's 54 years from now. I planned that. I can tell you what kind of cake I'm going to have. I'm going to tell you what what it's going to look like. I don't know who's going to be there. It depends on how people how they perceive their longevity.
You may have some new friends.
Yes, exactly. Yes, absolutely. And I had a friend who said to me shortly after my diagnosis, we were on a call because they live in Colorado and I'm here in Canada. And he said to me, oh, I feel so bad for you, having to face your mortality. And I had this visceral reaction to, what are you talking about? The minute we're born, we start to face our mortality.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah. Well, who knows when your time is?
That's right.
So it's interesting. It's interesting, the conversations we play.
So let's continue on this story. And I mean, so you got in problem solving mode. There's an approach that you refer to called going bonkers, which I'm gonna love to get you to expand on that further. But sort of take us through sort of what the next little while looks like for you.
Sure. Bonkers is a word that some people will look at it and say, oh, you're making light of the situation. But when you're faced with all of the medical jargon and the opinions of friends and your doctors and your oncological team, and truly you don't know where to turn, you really and truly feel like you're going bonkers. So that's the word that kept coming to mind. And then since then, I've made it into an acronym to represent all of the different stages that you have to go through when you're coming out towards remission. B for in Bonkers is brave. So you have to have courage as you blaze your own path through this. O is being open. You have to be curious. You have to be looking at different options. What's next? N is non-conforming. So essentially non-conforming, meaning that you're not playing by anyone else's rules. You're only your own. K is kick-ass. Okay, so recognize that you are one kick-ass person. B-O-N, I keep glancing just so I'm making sure I'm getting all the letters. E is emotional. You will have so many feelings. Acknowledge them. They're real, every single one of them. When you feel fear, allow yourself to feel fear. Don't dwell in it too long. And then there are happy moments. There's moments that you celebrate when you realize that you are not a statistic. So E is for emotional. R is resilient. Got to be resilient as you're going through this. I like to say that I'm pleasantly persistent. Got to keep on going. And then S is for self-advocacy. When the doctors or your team or your friends say to you, you know what, you have to do this next step. Ask the question, yeah, but why? Why do I have to follow this? Well, and so many of my doctors said, well, that's the next step in the path. You have to. And no, I don't have to. So you've got to be able to speak up, advocate for yourself. And, it's your choice. Your body is your choice.
Yeah. Yeah, but on the last on the last letter, the self-advocacy, the question why is a great one. And I heard someone once say that if you ever want to get to the heart of any matter, you have to ask why 5 times. So why? Okay, why? And keep digging until you get to the heart of the matter. And so, certainly resonates with me. Love the bonkers framework, if you will. How did it assist in your healing?
Sorry, say again.
How did that assist in the healing journey for you?
It helps strengthen my inner knowing. So one thing in particular is, and again, I'm not dissing doctors when I say this. The doctors are doing the best they can with the information they have. They are incredibly busy and they just want to help people in what they know, their box, their model.
Right.
So when someone like me comes along and starts asking questions, it throws them off their game. And some of them, I will say, they got quite defensive in the beginning. So the Bonkers acronym, and that, you know what, I am going to be brave by asking this question because I have to know, I have to understand. Napoleon Hill says thoughts become things. Whatever your
Yes.
mind can conceive and believe. I like to throw feel in there as well.
Mhm.
That you will achieve. So I needed to understand the why. So where was I going with this? The asking questions, and the oncological team in particular would say to me, yes, but this will come back.
Right.
Long-term survival is 5 years. Well, I don't know about you, but that's not long-term survival for me.
No.
Like I say, I've
Yeah.
got my birthday in 54 years I have to get to. That's not long-term. So I
Right.
started saying, where are the those people who live beyond your 5 year number? What are they doing? What is their treatment plan? What was their path? And they don't have any records of that. They don't have any trials. They don't follow past 5 years. And then that turned into, yeah, but why? And then that turned into, well, you don't make us any money past 5 years. And it's
Gotcha.
awful to say that you become a cog in the wheel of big business,
Mm.
which is sad to say.
Wow. Wow. Um, I want to circle back to just the acronym, and I think brave and open are the first two. And I think when you think of something like cancer, as an example, or dealing with any sort of serious illness, those two are so key and pivotal in sort of and so I think it's nice that they're kind of the starting points, right, at the beginning of this journey, because they're so instrumental in helping someone fight through um, uh, illness of this nature. So it's really that mindset. Really, is kind of what I'm circling on here. Is that how critical that is for what you're dealing with.
Yeah, it 100% is. But I do just want to go back. You mentioned the word fight. As you fight through this, I
Hmm.
never, ever use the word fight or battle.
Hmm.
This was a redirection. Um, and
Oh,
it's
beautiful.
just strange that there's the people that say, oh, well, I'm battling cancer or I'm fighting through this. I never thought of it that way. Uh, your body likes to be in a state of ease, your neutral point. And if something is off, everything, all your little cells throughout your body will rush to that particular issue that's causing you to be out of that state of ease, which, because you're in dis-ease,
Hmm.
and that's where the word disease comes from, is that your body is saying, hello, I'm trying to get you back. So recognizing that, I'm like, okay, what can I do? I'm going to be open to all sorts of information, research, suggestions, and see what resonates with me to be able to support my body. And
Gotcha.
even to the point that science was not, I was a math teacher. I didn't, I wasn't into science or biology. Uh, but in my research, recognizing that there are natural killer cells in your body. And I love the name natural killer cells, that they're NK cells, and they go out and they attack the diseases. So I started thinking of them like a SWAT team. So when I'm making changes, and I made drastic changes I decided to, do all the right things for my diet. So stopped caffeine. Well, as a teacher, coffee's kind of important. So stopped caffeine like overnight. Um, no dairy. I love cheese, no dairy, no sugar. That addiction was a tough one to
Sure.
break.
Sure.
Um, and no refined flours. So you think about everything that's out there. There's not a lot of food choices left after that point. So yeah, it's doing that and then saying, okay, this is what's working for my body
Hmm.
as we move forward.
And you also, I guess, and I guess keeping a theme with open, you also open and he's mentioned different approaches and it took some holistic routes and maybe alternative. What if you sort of talk about those aspects of your healing journey?
Sure, sure. And that also ties back into the SWAT team and just the way I would envision it. So I did do the traditional path. I did do chemotherapy, but with the chemotherapy, I recognized that high dose vitamin C and fasting are two critical elements to support the efficacy of the chemotherapy drugs.
Okay.
So fasting, if you don't know anything about fasting, then please, people in your audience is who I'm referring to, research fasting. That way back when our hunter gatherers wouldn't be eating all the time the way that we do, where we can just call DoorDash and they bring food to our door and that sort of thing.
Right.
So they would have to go out and hunt and make a kill, and they would have a big feast, and then they wouldn't have anything to eat for a couple of days. And your body is designed for that. So what I started doing, I'd never fasted before, is doing a 72-hour fast. So that's 3 days, the
Okay.
day before, the day of, and the day after my infusions.
Okay.
What that did is it allowed my body to be empty. So there was no distractions for it. There's no digestion. There's nothing like that. So the chemo drugs could go in and kill these cells. And then my body, the custodians, the cleanup crew, as I called them, could then go through, push them through to the liver, and then get rid of these cells. And it was just incredible watching my numbers drop because of going through this. And I had very few side effects, which
Wow.
is phenomenal. Yes, I did lose my hair, so I'm very proud of the hair that I have now. Um, and also high dose vitamin C was the other one. This is not oral, so
Okay.
I'm not eating vitamin C. It's an IV
Okay.
that I would go in and have 50 grams of vitamin C hitting my immune system, and I was doing it twice a week. So it was, I still do it. This is
Okay.
a couple of years later. I go in once every 2 weeks now, but I really know when it is time. My body just starts to drop. I need that juicing, as I like to call it.
I love it. And so, how long was your that healing process for you? How long did that take you?
I was first diagnosed in March.
Hmm.
Here in Canada, we pay for our medical treatments with time. So it takes a long time to get in. It took, almost 6 months to get a full diagnosis. So in March, I was diagnosed. September is when they scheduled the surgery for. And in between there, I had my chemo. Um, and I, again, was visualizing and manifesting that the tests, the medical tests that they need to do before the surgery, there would be nothing there.
Right.
And I knew beforehand, I said, it's gone. There's nothing there. But of course, they still have to do the tests and that sort of thing. And she said, the surgeon said, we can't see anything on the
Right.
CT scans. So it was just wild, like it was just confirming my point. So in my mind, it took from the diagnosis in March, my treatment started in May, and my surgery and the tests were in September, the very first day of school, which was interesting. So that time frame in my mind is how long it took.
Hmm.
So from May to September officially. I didn't get the full confirmation, the no evidence of disease letter until January 1st
Okay.
of 2024, so last year.
Wow. Wow.
Um, so yeah, it took a bit of time to get the results, but again, it's your inner knowing. So
Sure.
3 months,
Well,
I'd like to say, to take me from my lymph nodes were swollen, my limbs were up, so they were thinking it was also in my lymphs.
okay.
Thankfully, maybe it was, I don't know. My body just managed to recognize that what this disease actually was, and
Mhm.
we managed to go in and clear it up.
The to well, two parts of my question. I was curious, sort of, I wanted to know sort of the most difficult part of that process as you're going through it, and then when you got to the other side, what that must have felt like, if you could describe that.
Yeah, the thoughts, I was again researching and trying to take in so much information and find the next right step. And if you've ever looked up anything, the more that you know, the more questions you have. So there was this big wormhole, and I got to the point that I was overwhelmed. I had friends, even friends who were doctors. I had naturopaths. I had energy healers. All of the reading and everything that I was doing. And I just woke up one day and I said to my husband, I have no idea what to do. I don't know if I'm coming or going. So the overwhelm, the I'm blazing this path by myself, and I feel so alone.
Mm.
Um, so that was the big one. So what I did at that point is I just went outside, stood in the grass. Actually, I think I sat down, to be quite honest. I sat down in the grass and I just waited for my inner knowing, for a voice, my soul, to speak to me. And at that point it was, you're healed. You are done. You do not need any more treatments. And so I
Mm.
stopped chemo at that point. But it's the fear of what if? What
Gotcha.
if I'm making the wrong choice? What if I let down my family? What if the doctors are right? So those what ifs are tough,
Mm.
trying to put them into its proper place. So that was the
Yeah.
biggest one.
Hmm.
How did I overcome that? I gave it a personality,
Okay.
that voice,
Okay.
that, yeah, but what if? Yeah, but some people will say it's your ego. Some will say it's the wolf sitting on your shoulder, the good
Hmm.
one and the bad one, as you hear the voices.
Yep.
Um, I identified with it as a Jack Russell. I love dogs.
Okay.
So
Okay.
this Jack Russell, they're bouncy, they spring, they're always high energy. And that voice was that Jack Russell. And so I just would say to it, I gave it a name, Scamp.
Okay.
And I said, listen, Scamp, be quiet. Go to your cage. Here's some toys. Just be quiet. And the ability to separate that voice from who I am
Hmm.
really did help.
Yeah, I can certainly see that, and yeah, creating a personality is a great, great approach, and congratulations on that. Um, Again, I get must have felt wonderful on the other side, but it was that inner knowing, or like you already knew, which I absolutely love that as well too. That confidence, that belief, because whether we realize it or not, these certain things are the way we think. They do contribute to the healing process.
Yes, they do, 100%. And as I've been going through this journey and I've come out the other side, I have had a lot of people who are in similar situations. They've just been recently diagnosed. And so they reach out, friends of friends connect me to them. And I just want to help people. I just
Sure.
want to share, but recognizing that my path is mine and what I chose may not be the same as what they need. So,
Right.
and just the inner knowing, as you mentioned, if they believe that going out to a local pond and scooping out a glass of greenish, murky water and drinking it every day will heal them, then perfect. That's what they know. So
Right.
me saying, "Ooh, that's really gross. Why would you do that?"
Yeah. Yeah.
Not my choice.
Right.
And yeah, I'm not saying that's the answer, by the way. I just made that up.
I appreciate that disclaimer. Thank you. I'd love to talk about, you mentioned earlier about being pleasantly persistent, and we all know how overwhelming this can be. Is even just dealing with I mean, a couple of things. I mean, just the medical system, the diagnosis. These are huge, overwhelming things. And so to be pleasantly persistent can be. I can see where it's tough for people. Any tips you'd have for listeners, and how you're able to maintain that or do that throughout such a tough process? And because I guess a lot is even asking those tough questions too, right?
Absolutely. And yeah, I do say I'm pleasantly persistent. It's you can't just assume that your best interests are everyone's best interests. We've all got to look after ourselves. So when uh, your doctor says, "All right, what I'll do is I will reach out to so and so and set up an appointment," and you're waiting for that call and waiting for an appointment to the next person that you need to see,
Hmm.
don't assume that that call is being made. Follow up. So, and what I would do is I would call the doctor's office and I'd say, "Hey, listen, has this appointment been set up? Who am I going to see?" "Oh, yeah, we're still waiting." The next day, call back. The next day, call back. And you're just basically the annoying little mosquito that keeps pestering.
Yeah.
And when I got the name of that, then I started calling the next person in the list. And I'm not being annoying. It's well, do you have a wait list? Am I able to come in and wait in the waiting room in case nobody shows? So it's just making those calls, being pleasantly persistent and touching base. And if you've got a friend who you want to come over through this and help you, your caregiver team has no idea how to help. They,
Right.
they, I honestly think that it's harder on the caregiver in a way because they just don't know what to say, how to help, and help you navigate that future. So reaching out to someone and saying, "Can you?" For me, it was, "Can you please send me funny videos? I
Okay.
need to laugh every day." And I'm still working on that. And so I would say, "Just send me something funny." And then I wouldn't get anything. "Hey, listen, I really need your help. Can you please send me something? Can you give me a call, tell me a joke, just anything?" So that pleasantly persistent is kind of my mantra, really, is
Love it.
to be able to get what you want, you have to ask. If you don't ask, the answer is always no.
Yeah. No, and I love that mantra for yourself. And I was gonna say, it sort of speaks to the point around being the CEO of your own health, right? Taking charge, taking control, taking ownership of it, and not necessarily depending. And I won't lie, Allison, as you're describing that pleasant persistent, the one word came to mind: be audacious. That's kind of what I keep pushing ahead. And it wasn't a plug for the podcast, but it was really kind of what I was thinking about, because I think
Absolutely.
that's exactly what you're describing. So thank you for that.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, it's a perfect word, actually. That's an absolutely perfect word to how to live your life.
Yeah, 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 totally is. If there was sort of most important message, if you will, that you for someone maybe that was newly diagnosed, with cancer, um, what would that be for you, or what would you want to share with that person?
Great question. I think what I would want to share, well, I know what I would want to share is that you are not a victim. Look at yourself in the mirror and recognize that you are in control. It doesn't seem like it. It seems like you're being dragged around and so many recommendations and you must do these,
Hmm.
you must do this. No, you don't have to. You can take your time and make your decision that's right for you, and then make it right.
Yeah.
So that's the big takeaway. And always question, always research, um, and look for the survivors. Look for your definition of a survivor for whatever problem it is that you're facing. It might not be cancer, it might not be a disease, it might be, relationship problems. But look for the survivors who have overcome that problem and what was the path that they took.
Mm. Beautiful. I think there's much we can learn from others and their experiences. And, sometimes when you're going through a challenge or problem, it's really super easy to think that no one on the planet has any idea what you're dealing with or what you're faced with. And then when you hear, oh, yeah, I went through this and this, I did it. And, and to them, it's matter of fact because it's old news. They've just done it. And to you, it's a big deal. And so I certainly think there's much power just by looking at others and learning from their experiences and stories. Let's give a plug for the book one more time here, Allison, because again we were able to incorporate the Bonkers acronym in that title and let listeners know where they can get it. What made you decide to write it? Actually, I'm curious.
Wow, that was a path in and of itself. So yes, I wrote the book. I'm just gonna, hold it up
Yeah,
here.
there
So
you go.
Going Bonkers with Cancer is the name of it. And the reason why I wrote it, before all this happened, even before the bankruptcy situation that we avoided but had to navigate, I was at a conference, and Sharon Lecter, this lady, she's a best-selling author. She sold like 30,000 books. Maybe it's more than that. Maybe it's millions. Um, Maybe take that part out. Anyway, she was sitting there. No one was talking to her at lunch, so I just went over to her and I just asked her, you know, what's it like to write a book? And she just said, you know what? Everyone has a story in them. Here's how you do it. And she just basically gave a framework. And then later on, she's on stage and she sees me and she said to me, stand up. So I'm like, okay. So I stand up and she says, the next time I see you, I want to see your manuscript. And I went, oh, okay. If someone like her is telling me to write a book, then I guess maybe there's a story. So what am I going to write on? I don't know. I've just had a normal life.
Right.
And then I had the bankruptcy, and then I had the cancer, and I went, oh, now I know my purpose. And it feels amazing to find your purpose and
Yeah.
find your reason why you're here. The reason why I went on that journey is to be able to help others shine a light, and that there is an other side. It's not the end. So that's the reason why I wrote it. Initially it was from someone else's suggestion. And then as I started going through the process, I went, this is definitely my reason.
I love it. I love it. I very much again very much appreciate the journey and to get to the point of writing a book, and it's wonderful. I do believe everyone does have a story. In fact, I agree. Allison, this is again been a delightful conversation. One last question I want to ask, and before we go here, and it really, if you were to think about sort of again, it's the Audacious Living Podcast. So I would love to hear your thoughts on what does audacious living mean to you, and how has embracing kind of this philosophy helped you navigate your own personal journey?
Absolutely. I'll answer that question. I just want to quickly go back to the last one because you said, how can people get the book? And I never
Oh
answered
yeah,
you.
okay,
My website is the best thing. It's a central hub and it's my name. So AllisonPazuk.com. I've got blogs. I have, just a lot of support that's going to be coming from there. Now, to answer your question about audacious, that word encompasses the power that you have. So stepping into your power, being able to look yourself in the eye when you're standing in the mirror and go, wow, you are a bleeping badass, and give yourself a high five and having that power radiate out on every single person you meet, that ripple effect of love. And love is what makes the world go round. Love is what we need to share with each other. When you're looking at yourself saying, I love you. And that was a huge journey that I had to travel down. But in terms of Audacious and the people listening and how they can embody that word, when you wake up in the morning, just be grateful that you're waking up in the morning. Whatever your problems are, they're figure outable. And, you'll look back at them in years to come and go, you know what, that really wasn't a big deal. Every single problem you have ever had, you have overcome.
Yep, because we're here. There's
Mhm.
proof of that. We're here
Mhm.
facing more problems.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
So this has certainly been a delightful conversation, and I so appreciate having the time to share with you in this manner. And I first off, I absolutely want to congratulate you on your journey. And the piece that really excites you about your journey is that not only that you've gone all the way through, you got to the other side, but you're taking those lessons and you're sharing them with others. And that's probably the single most important thing that we can do with our challenges. Not what we do for ourselves, but how we can help others. And so I want to congratulate you on that. And thank you again for being a guest on the Audacious Living Podcast.
Thank you so much for having the platform. It's needed and necessary.
Great. Back, we are here on the podcast, and all I can say is, wow! What an incredible conversation with Allison. There were so many powerful takeaways, but the one that really stood out for me was how she described being pleasantly persistent, making those phone calls, asking those tough questions, and refusing to let her health decisions be placed solely in someone else's hands. And that's what true self-advocacy looks like. When I think about what I personally love most about this interview was Allison's unwavering inner knowing. She reminded us that no matter what challenges we face, we always have that inner compass guiding us forward. She also showed us that resilience doesn't mean being unshakable. It means shifting gears when the hill gets steep, asking for help when the ride is hard, and never forgetting that we're the ones steering the bike. And that's what we can all apply in our own lives, whether we're facing health challenges, career obstacles, or personal struggles. I got to tell you, like I said, Allison was fantastic to connect with, and I really would encourage our listeners to connect with her directly. You can find her through her website. That's AllisonPazuk.com. You'll also find her book, Going Bonkers with Cancer. She's got a blog and other incredible resources to help you on your health journey. Now, that's it for today's episode of the Audacious Living Podcast. If you found value in today's conversation, do me a huge favor. Hit like, follow, or share this podcast episode with someone who needs to hear Allison's story. It's one of the best ways to help our community grow and inspire even more people to live audaciously. And as we close, let's circle back to that bicycle analogy, because life isn't about avoiding bumpy roads. It's about trusting your balance, leaning on your crew when the ride gets tough, shifting gears when you need to, and ringing your bell with confidence so the world knows you're coming through. Keep pedaling forward, one bold, audacious step at a time. Until next time, stay safe, be kind, show love to one another, and be audacious.
You've been listening to the Audacious Living Podcast, hosted by Audley Stevenson. If you enjoyed what you heard, be sure to like, subscribe, and share. Until next time, be audacious.